On this Tuesday night, Donald Trump is at odds with nearly every Western ally after pulling out of the Iran nuclear deal. The decision was expected, but the global ramifications are anything but certain. We'll break down why Trump did it, how the world is reacting, and what comes next.
Also tonight, when champions of Me Too face allegations themselves. On Parliament Hill, an MP is sidelined, her behavior scrutinized, and in New York State, the Attorney General is now a target of a criminal investigation.
And more than 40 million views and just as many opinions. Why everyone is talking about Childish Gambino. This is The National. Part of U.S. President Donald Trump's brand, and for supporters, part of his appeal, is disruption. He has upended trade deals, shaken Washington with strong views and a string of scandals. And today he made what is perhaps his most significant foreign policy move so far.
I am announcing today that the United States will withdraw from the Iran nuclear deal.
Known as the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, the deal was a multinational pact to offer some relief on sanctions in return for strict limits on Iran's nuclear program. With the stroke of a pen, U.S. sanctions are now set to snap back. Close allies, including France and Germany, pleaded with Trump to remain in the pact. So why did he bail out? Paul Hunter begins our coverage from Washington.
In dumping the deal, Donald Trump was, as ever, forcefully blunt. It was disastrous, he said, defective at its core.
The fact is, this was a horrible, one-sided deal that should have never, ever been made. It didn't bring calm, it didn't bring peace, and it never will.
That senior U.S. officials have insisted Iran complied with the deal and that key U.S. allies had urged Trump to stick with it seemed set aside by the president. Insisting the world is a safer place without it, he fulfilled a long-standing campaign pledge.
When I make promises, I keep them.
Trump's justification, in short, the deal didn't go far enough. Iran remains too much of a threat. He reimposed what he called the highest level of economic sanctions on Iran and issued this warning.
Any nation that helps Iran in its quest for nuclear weapons could also be strongly sanctioned by the United States.
Iran's response was immediate. President Hassan Rouhani said Iran now stands ready to resume its nuclear program, though it'll wait to see if the deal can somehow be salvaged with those countries still on board. Iran, he said, sticks to its international agreements. The U.S. does not. The United Nations said it's deeply concerned by all of this. In Europe, the French president tweeted, France, Germany, and the U.K. regret the U.S. decision. Said former President Barack Obama Trump is misguided and made a serious mistake that'll hurt U.S. credibility worldwide. Israel, however, called it historic.
Israel thanks President Trump for his courageous leadership.
Say some, the real worry is that Trump's action pushes Iran into pursuing nuclear weapons, in turn provoking a U.S. military response.
Well, I think this was the most significant strategic blunder the United States has made since the 2003 invasion of Iraq, and it may lead to a similar result.
Then there's that other country with nuclear ambitions, North Korea. Tonight, Secretary of State Mike Pompeo is there on a surprise visit ahead of looming talks on that issue. Say Trump critics, the question for North Korea now, given what Trump did today, is can the U.S. still be trusted? Paul Hunter, CBC News, Washington.
So Donald Trump laid out his case against the nuclear deal. He painted the picture of an agreement that was naive and failed to check Iran's nuclear threat. Given Trump has a reputation for exaggeration, even making things up, let's take a closer look at some of his claims.
The deal lifted crippling economic sanctions on Iran in exchange for very weak limits on the regime's nuclear activity.
Depends on what you mean by weak limits. Iran has given up 97% of its enriched uranium. There's no weapons-grade material allowed. It gave up 3/4 of the centrifuges it uses for enrichment, and it shuttered its heavy water reactor. Iran can still operate a civilian nuclear program.
The agreement was so poorly negotiated that even if Iran fully complies, the regime can still be on the verge of a nuclear breakout in just a short period of time.
Again, depends on what you call a short period of time. Before the deal, Iran was thought to be just 3 months from having a nuclear weapon. Thanks to the limits imposed, it will now take at least a year.
The deal's inspection provisions lack adequate mechanisms to prevent, detect, and punish cheating.
In fact, the deal gave inspectors access to all of Iran's declared nuclear facilities and uranium mines on short notice. And inspectors could also test samples for traces of nuclear activity, even from undeclared sites. A pretty robust inspections regime that is now in jeopardy. Trump also talked about Iran's, quote, malign influence. Much of the tension and violence in the Middle East right now has roots in a proxy conflict between Iran and U.S. allies like Saudi Arabia and Israel. That conflict drives events from Yemen to Iraq to Lebanon and in Syria. As news from Trump's decision echoed across the globe, explosions rocked an area near Damascus. The CBC's Margaret Evans is there with a snapshot of a region already on edge.
The Syrians say it was an Israeli missile strike against a target, a Syrian army base just 20 kilometers south of Damascus. If it was the Israelis, we're not going to hear about it from them. What we do know, though, is that Israel has been increasingly worried about what it says is a buildup of Iranian-backed militias in southern Syria, an entrenchment, they call it, against them. And an Israeli minister has actually warned the Syrian president, Bashar al-Assad, that he faces potential regime change if Iran or any Iranian agents are allowed to attack Israel from Syrian territory. And that will give the Syrian president pause for thought, especially now. His supporters say that Donald Trump's decision to pull the United States out of the Iran nuclear deal is more dangerous to world peace than Tehran is. But the decision comes as al-Assad is closing in on the last remaining rebel enclaves in the country, bringing him that much closer to actually winning the Syrian civil war. He's come this far with the help of Russia and, of course, Iran, which has sent in military experts and advisors to help fight the Syrian rebels. But would al-Assad risk the gains he's made to a potential Israeli intervention or a widening of the conflict into the rest of the region? And what would a full-on Israeli engagement mean in the Syrian conflict in terms of Russia's support for Damascus? Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is scheduled to visit Moscow tomorrow. Margaret Evans, CBC News, Damascus.
So with a region on edge and the Iran nuclear deal on the rocks, where does this go next? And for that, we're joined by Daniel Dueck, a political scientist with both McGill and Concordia universities in Montreal. So the president called this a horrible one-sided deal, says the world is safer now with the United States backing out. You, though, have a different view.
Definitely. The deal, for all its flaws, was a diplomatic achievement, and the world will actually be a more dangerous place without it. The deal opened the Iranian nuclear installations to international inspectors. It was a very rigorous regime. Iran, by all accounts, was abiding by the conditions of the agreement, and now that it has been scrapped, Iran is free to continue with its nuclear program.
So in what way is this a more dangerous world now?
Well, there's nothing really stopping Iran from pursuing its nuclear weapons development. Iran is a key rival, not only, of course, of the United States and of Israel, a close U.S. ally, but also of Saudi Arabia. So there are a number of potential conflict points that become that much more charged now that Iran is free, again, to pursue nuclear weapons, and the U.S. has renounced diplomacy as a tool to solve that problem.
And what message do you think is being sent here from the United States to North Korea?
Well, it sends the message that the U.S. cannot really be trusted to abide by the agreements that it signs, and that Trump is an erratic decision maker who can change his mind essentially on a whim and scrap a diplomatic deal in favor of some kind of more military approach.
Daniel Dewick, thank you.
Thank you very much.
And a final note on this story, Canada's Foreign Affairs Minister, Chrystia Freeland, made it clear this country still supports the deal and regrets the U.S. decision.
And here's a look at what else we're working on tonight. The Blue Jays are without one of their star pitchers. Roberto Osuna is suspended and charged with assault.
And the music video that quickly racked up more than 40 million views, sparking debate and triggering visceral reactions. Why so many are trying to find meaning in This Is America.
But first, have the tables turned for two defenders of the Me Too movement. First, in Ottawa today, another NDP MP was suspended from duty, the second in 2 weeks. This time, it's Quebec's Christine Moore facing sexual misconduct allegations. But if that name sounds familiar, it's because not long ago, she made an allegation herself against someone else. Catherine Cullen has more on this latest case and where it all leads.
Designated marksman.
When Glenn Kirkland met Christine Moore, he was a man suffering from the physical and mental wounds of a Taliban ambush.
Killed everyone else in the vehicle, besides the gentleman on top and myself.
In 2013, Kirkland was called before a parliamentary committee to talk about his experiences. It was there Moore asked him about his fiancée, whether she received support after he was injured.
She kind of moved on when I was still overseas. So when I came back, she was just there long enough to take my money.
He says Moore invited him to her office and insisted on giving him a drink, even though he said he was on painkillers and antidepressants. He says Moore then followed him to his hotel and spent the night. Kirkland says what she did was inappropriate. Was I a willing participant? I guess it depends on your definition of willing. There was a power imbalance. He says later Moore sent him explicit messages, then showed up unannounced at his home in Manitoba. He says he was curt and their communication ended there. In light of the allegations, NDP leader Jagmeet Singh is appointing an independent investigator, just like he did with Aaron Weir. But in that case, it was Moore who first said she'd heard concerns about Weir.
Isn't that ironic that the person who accused is now being accused?
I don't know about irony. What I'm looking for is consistency and fairness in the way that we treat all of our MPs.
There have been plenty of questions about how Singh handled Weir's case. Today, MPs supported Singh's call to investigate more.
While I felt troubled, I'm also satisfied to see that the leader is taking the appropriate action.
Our leader's taking the proper action.
The Me Too movement has shone a magnifying glass on everybody's actions. We're all learning as we go along.
But it's how Singh handles this investigation's conclusions that may prove the most challenging. So far, Moore has only said she welcomes a fair process. Catherine Cullen, CBC News, Ottawa.
Now, this is just one of several cases of alleged harassment involving MPs that have emerged since the Me Too movement began last fall.
There are women within our party who have survived unacceptable and unwelcome behavior from peers and people who wield power over them.
I will do everything in my power to ensure this behavior is eradicated from Ottawa's political culture.
Ongoing part of an important conversation. It's not one group attending one session is going to make all the difference, but it's a step further in the right direction.
So just yesterday, MPs passed a fast-track bill that's being sent to the Senate. It sets new rules for dealing with harassment and violence in federally regulated workplaces. That's about 8% of Canada's labour force, and it does include Parliament Hill. Now, south of the border, New York's Attorney General is out of a job tonight. He has been a staunch defender of the Me Too movement, but now himself faces allegations he physically abused 4 women. Here's Stephen D'Souza.
If a woman does not have the right to control her own body, she is not truly equal.
Eric Schneiderman built a reputation as a vocal advocate of women's rights and a champion of the Me Too movement. As New York State Attorney General, when allegations of sexual misconduct surrounded Harvey Weinstein, it was Schneiderman who investigated and then sued the disgraced movie mogul and his company.
They were
At
threatened.
the time, he praised the women who spoke up.
We've begun a long overdue reckoning with our culture of violence and silence.
Now, in a stunning turn, Schneiderman is being accused of the very behavior he so often condemned. 4 women spoke to The New Yorker, 2 making their names public, alleging Schneiderman slapped, choked, and threatened them, often after drinking. In a statement, he said he engaged in role-playing and other consensual sexual activity, but the women dispute that.
He was, according to multiple women, not role-playing, that this was not 50 Shades of Grey. It wasn't in a gray area at all. This was activity that happened in many cases fully clothed outside of a sexual context during arguments.
While the women never went to police, district attorneys in 2 counties are now investigating. This columnist says these allegations are unlike previous New York political scandals.
It's not hugely surprising to me that there's hypocrisy and that some people don't behave the way that they say that they will. But this particular is really shocking.
Are we ready to fight? Shocking, and she says disappointing for many on the left. Schneiderman was seen as a leader of liberal America's resistance of Donald Trump, fighting the administration on dozens of fronts, on everything from environmental regulations to the travel ban.
There's a lot of outrage today, and there's a lot of sadness from people who really believed in him and really saw him as the potential person to bring down the Trump administration.
Now the man who once warned the president that no one is above the law is finding out that also applies to the Me Too movement. Stephen D'Souza, CBC News, New York.
Meanwhile, in Toronto, a Blue Jays star is sidelined tonight after being charged with assault. Roberto Osuna will appear in court next month. And all of this, once again, focusing attention on an issue that sports leagues have struggled with, how to deal with players facing allegations of domestic abuse. Toronto police arrested Osuna early this morning and charged him with assaulting a woman.
It's unfortunate. I mean, it's sad. But you know what? I mean, we're countries of laws, and now he's just got to go through the process.
Details of the alleged incident haven't been made public. Major League Baseball, though, acted swiftly, putting Osuna on administrative leave. The league investigating the 23-year-old under its domestic violence policy.
To say that we don't condone things of this nature is saying it very lightly.
In 2015, MLB and its Players Association agreed to a landmark policy dealing with domestic violence, sexual assault, and child abuse. And it gives the league the power to suspend players even without criminal charges. It's already done that to at least 4 players.
We support Major League Baseball in that effort, appreciate and respect everything they've done to not just heighten awareness, but to understand that this is much more than baseball.
But it hasn't always been that way in pro sports. In 2014, the NFL suspended Baltimore Ravens running back Ray Rice for 2 games after he was arrested for knocking his then-fiancée unconscious. Only after security footage surfaced depicting the brutal attack did the Ravens cut the star player. Since then, teams have taken domestic violence more seriously. Just last month, the San Francisco 49ers said the team will cut ties with their linebacker, Reuben Foster, if it's proven that he attacked his then-girlfriend in their home.
If these charges are proven true, if Reuben did indeed hit this young lady, he won't be a part of our organization going forward.
Today, Foster pleaded not guilty to domestic violence.
Still ahead tonight on The National. It turns out some of the Doug Ford supporters at last night's Ontario Leaders Debate were actually hired actors. A closer look at the casting call with someone who turned down the part.
And it's mesmerizing, uncomfortable. What is it about Childish Gambino's new music video that's striking a nerve?
But first, we'll hear from one of the survivors of the Humboldt bus crash on his determination to push forward, but also the confusion in the initial days after the tragedy.
Did we play? Like, did we win? And they were like, well, you didn't play. I was like, was it my fault? Like, what happened? And then they were like, no. And then I was like, where is everybody? Are they okay?
In parts of New Brunswick tonight, floodwaters are receding, but officials are warning it's still not safe for evacuees to return home. Roads and buildings may have been weakened by all that water, and the water itself may make people sick.
It is our hope that this long overdue apology will bring awareness to our failings as we vow to never let history repeat itself.
And Prime Minister Justin Trudeau announcing tonight that Canada will formally apologize for turning away a ship full of Jewish refugees fleeing Nazi Germany in 1939. There were 907 people on board the MS St. Louis when it was forced to return to Europe. More than a quarter of those people ended up dying in the Holocaust. Trudeau called it a shameful chapter in Canada's history and said he'll deliver an apology in the House of Commons. Well, in Ontario, the election campaign doesn't officially kick off until tomorrow, but there's already no shortage of controversy. Dozens of Doug Ford supporters showed up outside the TV studios where the party leaders were debating last night. But as Ron Charles explains, some of them were actors paid to fake their enthusiasm.
The crowd gathered outside last night's Ontario Leaders debate chanted slogans, hoisted signs, and wore the colors of their political teams. But some of the people rooting for PC leader Doug Ford were not passionate political volunteers. Instead, they were paid actors.
2 p.m. to 8 p.m., rally and debate, location downtown, pay $75.
That's the casting call that background actor Devanshu Narang received from an agency looking for 20 actors to play supporters. He didn't take the job.
We were supposed to be acting as supporters of a party, you know, as real people supporting a political party and wearing the T-shirt of Doug Ford and Cartwright. So, I mean, it was kind of disturbing to me.
Today, Ford said he knew nothing about the casting call.
We don't need to pay anyone. When we have events, we're packed. We have standing room only, so I'll look into that.
Later, a Ford campaign spokesperson tweeted that candidate Meredith Cartwright made the decision to hire a casting agency. Cartwright could not be reached for comment. But Ford's campaign is no stranger to play acting. He chose to forgo media traveling with him during the campaign, but has his own executive assistant play the role of reporter to interview him.
We won't touch the greenbelt.
All of this have some drawing comparisons to south of the border. When Donald Trump famously announced his presidential bid at New York's Trump Tower in June 2015, the event organizer hired crowd members for $50 each. The Toronto actor bemoans the distortion of politics.
Vote for me because this is what I am. Now you're saying I have these people, I care more for winning, not for the cause itself, and respect me because I'm winning.
Tonight, Doug Ford officially launched his campaign in a packed suburban convention center in front of the kind of crowd money probably can't buy. Ron Charles, CBC News, Toronto.
And much more to come on tonight's National. Donald Trump has taken a hard line on welcoming Syrian refugees. You'll see why that led to a tearful family reunion in Vancouver.
And we'll hear from a survivor of the Humboldt Broncos bus crash. He's staying strong in the wake of tragedy, but his father is carrying an emotional burden.
The hardest part's been, the people who lost their sons and ours survived. And, there's the guilt that comes with that. It's the worst day of my life and best day of my life, all within 4 hours.
I've just been taking it day by day, and I think focusing on the positive has really helped me in this situation.
As a survivor of the Humboldt Broncos bus crash, Caleb Dahlgren has had to cope with so much over the past month. The physical trauma from the deadly accident and the torment of losing so many friends. 16 people on that bus were killed after it collided with a semi-trailer truck. Dahlgren among the 13 injured, and who could blame him if he buckled from despair? But that hasn't been the case. As he doggedly pursues his recovery, the 20-year-old has come to terms with the lot. The CBC's Karen Pauls found out where he gets that strength.
Caleb.
Hey, how's it going?
Good, good. Friday's good, no problem.
Yeah.
Didn't feel bad after we got into step one.
Yeah, it was good. Neck's feeling good. Body's feeling really good.
Good to hear.
This is Caleb Dahlgren's new normal.
Pulling up high, does it come middle shoulder blades? Anything specific?
Nothing on this side, but on this side, you feel it.
Physiotherapy to help him recover from his injuries. A fractured and punctured skull, some brain damage, 2 broken and 3 cracked vertebrae in his neck, and 4 broken in his back.
So right now I'm a little banged up. 2 years for a completely full recovery.
Dahlgren doesn't remember the crash.
It's just crazy how some things can change in a blink of an eye.
He woke up in hospital 4 days later, confused.
Did we play? Like, did we win? And they were like, well, you didn't play. I was like, was it my fault? Like, what happened? And then they were like, no. And then I was like, where is everybody? Are they okay?
His parents actually had to tell him what happened twice.
We found out a few days after that he didn't remember everything we told him. And he wasn't sure how he got the injury. And he had the same reaction. He just said, I'm dreaming, right? Just wake me up, I'm dreaming.
Within days, Dahlgren had convinced the rehabilitation staff to let him do some light workouts. He shared a hospital room with some of his teammates. That and some special visitors helped them with the healing process.
It was nice to have a sense of community because in that time, like, it's chaotic.
The hardest part so far, though, was not being able to attend any of the 16 funerals.
I really wanted to reach out to every family, but I haven't been able to yet, and I just want to send them my condolences and say it's okay, and if they ever need anything, they can contact me. So.
Because you were too sick to leave the hospital.
I was too sick.
Funerals,
yeah,
right?
I wasn't able to go to any funerals, and that was hard for me as well.
Then there's the survivor guilt, says his dad, Mark.
Just the hardest part's been, the people who lost their sons and ours survived, and there's the guilt that comes with that. It is worst day of my life and best day of my life, all within 4 hours.
How do you make sense of it?
Well, you don't. You don't. It's, you could why yourself to death of why it happened, or what if? What if they'd have left later? What if somebody would have forgot something? What if they'd had to pull over? But that gets you nowhere.
One of the first things Dahlgren did after leaving the hospital was to visit Humboldt. He was astounded but not surprised by the memorials around town.
It was really nice to go back to Humboldt and visit. I brought back some old memories. When I visited the rink, it really hit home hard. And yeah, it was nice to see all that they've done for the Broncos and the town, just to have the memorials all set up, and just the whole thing was really well done there.
The idea, you're just trying to get your shoulder blade muscles to make their way back. But I'm actually curious if you pick up any tight spots.
Now, a month after the crash, he's trying to settle into a new routine.
Given what we just saw, that one's too easy for you. This is where you might notice a little bit of gentle challenge, but this area is getting just a little bit of stretch while we do it. So let's just stick to rotations, just a little bit this way, a little bit this way, and just keep on rolling.
At nearly 21, this was Dahlgren's last season in the Saskatchewan Junior Hockey League. He was sorting through hockey scholarship offers at a handful of universities, looking forward to a bright future in education or business. Those plans are on hold now.
I've just been bombarded with all the love, and I'm really thankful for all that, and I know other guys are too.
Dahlgren doesn't know why he survived when others around him didn't. All he knows is that he's been given a second chance.
Maybe it wasn't my time to go. I think it was just luck of the draw, though, because it wasn't anyone else's really time to go. I miss them, and I love them very much, and I'll live the rest of my life for them.
Last season, Dahlgren asked for a trade, choosing to play his final year of junior hockey in Humboldt.
Would you do it again?
100%. I went, 100%. I'm thankful to be a part of the team. I'm thankful to be a Bronco.
Karen Pauls, CBC News, Saskatoon.
The Humboldt tragedy inspired countless acts of charity to help and comfort the people who were affected. And tonight, this colorful piece of comfort is on its way to Humboldt from Qatar. Canadian Dale Gilbert was deeply affected by news of the crash, so she answered a call to make quilts for Broncos in their signature colors of green, black, yellow, and white. The project was started by a sewing shop in Humboldt, and Quilting Guilds quickly spread the word. More than 900 have been donated or pledged, and they'll be distributed in the coming weeks. And Andrew, in Vancouver today, a cross-continental act of kindness of a different kind.
Yeah, you could say that. A 26-year-old man fleeing violence in Syria was finally reunited with his family. And also there to greet him, a Florida man who made it all happen. Susanna De Silva was there.
Can I hug you? Yes. Thank you so much.
It's the first meeting of what they hope will be a lifelong friendship.
Well, it's kind of emotional. It's a great moment. The people will never, so many will never get out.
It was a chance connection and a fierce desire to help those suffering in Syria that brought Tom Smith here from his home in Florida to meet the family of the man he's sponsoring after trying through various groups to bring refugees to the United States.
Our president is not very compassionate, and so that shut the door, and they all said, "You're not going to do anything." For years.
He came from northern Iraq, right?
Yeah. But the executive director of one of the groups he called knew a Vancouver man working with refugees through a conference they had attended. She passed on his number.
I was shocked. Just like, sure, yes, we'll take it, sure. Here's our, here's our bank account number, transfer it, whatever you need. We'll help you make this happen.
Smith and a family friend have arranged to send close to $60,000 Canadian to sponsor a Syrian family of 4, and Anis Shikmus, selected for help because he is going blind, unable to get the corneal transplant he needs. His 3 sisters, including one who is now blind because she didn't get treatment in time, have been desperate to bring him to Canada. She says she is thrilled her brother has gotten this opportunity to hopefully save his eyes and start over in Canada. And after greeting his family, it was Smith's turn.
Welcome. I hope you have a good life here.
He's thanking you, and he's saying he feels that now that he's just reborn.
Shikmus has an appointment with an eye doctor next week and hopes he will soon be able to truly see his new home and the man who made it possible.
You don't have an opportunity very often to really make a difference in somebody's life. So, thank you. Thank you.
Susanna De Silva, CBC News, Richmond.
Since the Syrian war began back in 2011, more than 5.5 million people have fled the country as refugees, according to the United Nations. And while most have wound up across the border in places like Turkey and Lebanon, Canada has resettled almost 52,000 people since November 2015.
Still to come on tonight's National, baby boomers drive the trend to green burials. They're so committed to recycling, some plan to do it with their remains.
Kentucky coffee tree on there, nice tree. We'd be quite happy to be the fertilizer for the tree.
Whistler, British Columbia, is known for its natural beauty. But for one Vancouver woman, it's not quite natural enough. She's asked the municipal council to change a bylaw so she can be buried there without a casket. What she wants is a green burial. And as Diane Buckner tells us, it's something more and more Canadians seem to want to.
All right, I can pick that up.
Besides their own children, Kathy and John Anstruther have 2 big loves. One is nature.
A little chilly, but we got to get this stuff up.
The second is being organized. At 60 years old, they've already made decisions about the end of their lives. They want an eco-friendly burial.
It's more natural, and we like that. We like trees, and we like plants and flowers, and it just seemed somehow easier than the other option we were thinking.
The other option was a traditional funeral and gravesite, but instead, the Anstruthers have arranged for 2 plots in the new so-called green burial section of their local cemetery. No traditional coffins allowed here. The dearly departed are buried in a biodegradable casket or even just a shroud. No headstones either.
Kentucky coffee tree on there, nice tree. We'd be quite happy to be the fertilizer for the tree. And you know, people look, oh my God, you can't think about that, but that's really what ultimately we're dust to dust, you know, ashes to ashes.
So you're
we're
giving
gonna be
back.
So we give back
the
a little
tree's
bit.
alive, right?
Hi. Hi, Kathy. Hi, Ron. Can you take your jackets for me? Sure.
Today, the Anstruthers are meeting with Crystal Riddell.
Come have a seat here.
She's got a brand new business, a space in a strip mall that offers a variety of alternatives to a typical funeral.
We're already looking at a green burial, which is, I guess, something new in this area.
The shroud that I was explaining.
Riddell knows all about it. More and more of her customers are interested in going green.
This is one option, is the Eden Poplar casket. It's plywood, it has wooden dowels and unbleached cotton interior as well.
Yep.
Okay. And one of the unique things about this casket, unlike a...
John actually prefers the simple shroud option, but the willow casket catches Kathy's eye.
I like it.
Okay, well, you know what? We may be able to upgrade you, honey. We'll see what we can do.
Cost isn't their first consideration, but green is often less expensive.
I'd kind of like to rather leave some of my cash to my children who might actually need it because everything is so expensive, and they're the ones that have to live. I don't really need it when I'm not here.
Canadian rituals around death often relate to religious beliefs. But religious or not, cremation is more and more common. Over 60% of Canadians now make that choice, and the number is climbing, forecast to be 80% by 2035. But cremation takes a lot of energy, as much as what it takes to heat a typical home for a week.
When this is in full bloom, this is about just under 2 feet tall, and it's all wildflowers and grasses.
Mark Richardson is the manager of cemetery services for the city of Niagara Falls. He spearheaded creation of this new green cemetery and says the baby boom generation is driving the trend.
They've spent the better part of their life trying to do the best that they can to help the environment. And the question that they're always asking, or the comment that they're always making, is why would we make that effort our entire life just to harm the environment at the end of it? And
Richardson got the idea from Western Canada.
Natural burial.
Eco-friendly burials have caught on fastest there. Royal Oak Burial Park in Victoria, BC, for example, has 200 people interred in its green section. 225 have reserved a space for future use.
I can say from Manitoba and Saskatchewan that there are plans unfolding for green burial areas in several municipal cemeteries there.
Today, both Mark Richardson and Crystal Riddell are here at the annual meeting of Canada's Green Burial Society.
we're providing the information. We're putting it out there. We're letting people know that this is now an option. We have to offer.
The society started 5 years ago, but now the group is growing in membership and is focused on how to handle all the new queries.
I have a lot of people that ask questions and they didn't know about it as an option. And it's up for the funeral director to be knowledgeable on the topic.
This is something people are going to be asking for, especially as the demise of the baby boomers starts to sweep over us like a tsunami.
Canada is a big country, but people in this business will tell you cemeteries are filling up and there isn't a lot of land being reserved for new ones. So as cities sprawl and as the baby boom generation starts to approach that final chapter, we could be looking at a new kind of real estate crunch in Canada.
No, they're opening up, right? So the seeds are coming out. So.
As for the Anstruthers, their lifelong habit of planning ahead means they at least won't have any trouble finding a final, natural resting place. Diane Buckner, CBC News, Niagara Falls.
Up next on The National, the music video so many are debating.
This is America. Yeah, yeah. Don't catch you slipping now. Hey, don't catch you slipping now. Look what I'm whipping now. Look how I'm geeking now. Hey.
Childish Gambino's This Is America now has more than 40 million views in just a few days. And it turns out it's drawing a lot of opinions. We'll look at why next on The National.
But first, as we go to break, a save the date of sorts. The royal wedding is next Saturday, and we'll have you covered here next week on The National. Here's Adrian.
There is a little something in the air here. England is clearly getting ready for the wedding of the year, Prince Harry and Meghan Markle. And at The National, we're getting ready too. In the run-up to the big day, we will bring you the tales of the final preparations of the people with the golden tickets.
My dress is going to be a huge surprise.
Meghan, how are you feeling? And we'll give you a sense of just what connects this couple beyond that love. Plus, we'll let you know who exactly is counting on the power of this pairing. Then, of course, on the day itself, Saturday, May 19th, we will bring you the wedding live. See you there.
Tonight on The National, the man behind a shooting rampage in La Loche, Saskatchewan, has been sentenced to life in prison, but eligible for parole in 10 years' time. 2.5 years ago, he killed 4 people and wounded 7 others when he opened fire at a home and a school. He was 17 at the time, but sentenced as an adult, though he can't technically be publicly identified until his appeal period has lapsed. An Ebola outbreak has been declared in Congo. So far, 2 cases have been confirmed, but at least 17 people have died, and those cases are now being investigated. The World Health Organization is also involved. This is Congo's 9th Ebola outbreak since the virus was first discovered in the 1970s. In 2014, more than 40 people died during an outbreak that lasted 3 months.
We just want to keep everyone safe and continue to look at what we can do to prepare. As we know, we don't believe this is the end of it.
The governor of Hawaii warning people on the Big Island to be vigilant. Lava activity has dropped since the Kilauea volcano began erupting last week, but deadly fumes are still wafting out. And those scientists tracking the situation, they warn lava could start spewing again at any time. So far, at least 35 structures, many of them homes, have been destroyed.
The grave already. To Seager, the pick, the throw, Paxton has done it!
And a Canadian pitcher made history on home soil tonight. James Paxton threw a no-hitter for the Seattle Mariners. He did it against the Toronto Blue Jays, but that's okay. He's 29 from Ladner, BC, and becomes the first Canadian to pitch a no-hitter since 1945 and the first ever to do it in Canada.
A music video going viral is no surprise, but in quickly racking up tens of millions of views, actor and comedian Donald Glover has achieved something more, provoking a discussion about race and violence in the United States. Glover's new video uses graphic imagery and symbolism, which some of you might find disturbing. We're going to show you part of it so you can judge for yourself what the critics are debating, what it all means. Here's Eli Glasner.
It starts with a celebratory tone, Donald Glover's body undulating, flexing, grooving. But then...
This is America.
This is a music video shocking in its violence and surprising because little in Glover's career prepared fans for this. He first popped up on the sitcom Community.
You're a football player. It's in your blood. That's racist.
Glover left that show to write, produce, and star in Atlanta, where he plays an aspiring hip-hop manager.
I still know people at Diamond House.
Give it one night. Childish Gambino was Glover's sometimes funky, sometimes comical musical alter ego. But Gambino never did anything like this.
This is America.
There's just so much noise, there's so much data that folks feel the need to go to the extreme just to get noticed.
This pop culture professor has been dissecting the layers.
At the very moment that he's saying, look, this is what's distracting you, he's also demonstrating how little value there is to Black life and how it's normalized to watch pain and death while consuming and devouring entertainment.
But launching the video to coincide with Glover's appearance on Saturday Night Live,
You might want to buckle up, baby.
And a role in the new Star Wars film strikes Campbell as suspect.
Look what I'm whipping now.
It's well planned. There's clearly a marketing strategy there, and that part of that strategy is to employ black pain in order to get more views and get attention.
He's kind of hit a nerve. It's a total cultural nerve. I don't actually remember the last time since Hotline Bling a video actually went this viral.
Canadian director Peter Huang knows the power of music videos. This Sunday, his video for the Jessie Reyez song about sexual harassment is competing for the Prism Prize. He says although the end of video grants such as Much Fact are hurting Canada's industry, we're in a music video renaissance.
It was YouTube that brought them back, and they've now become the art form that they were in the early 90s, and they've now become political statements.
Part of what makes This Is America so unsettling is that there are no answers. The video ends with Glover on the run, but with a new album and tour to come, Glover's far from finished. Eli Glasner, CBC News, Toronto.
So Ian, I know you and I could talk about this video all day, but some people have published their reactions to that video online. Let's have a look at that.
Hold on. Wait, what? Don't catch you slipping now. Oh, don't catch you slipping now. Look what I'm whipping now. He just shot a dude. This is America. Don't catch you slipping now.
Even what he talking, I feel like what he talking about, even the dancing, the expressions, the way he even moving, all that kind of stuff. Like I feel like he's saying like this is America, like this is what everything looking like right now.
This is America, and what do we do? Don't let you slip in now. What do? We dance right out. Yeah, we dance right out.
So here's the thing I find ironic about all of this, that you have Childish Gambino who's made this music video depicting intense violence to show society, you know, how normalized it's become, only to have people publish reaction videos as entertainment. I mean, it kind of makes you wonder, did they get the point or did they miss the point entirely? I don't know.
Now, this is going to seem like way off course, and I'll bring it back, hopefully. I'm reading a biography right now of the musician Paul Simon from Simon & Garfunkel. Then he had his own solo career. And what I find interesting is what he says about the imagery in his music compared to what critics thought at the time. I can't wait to hear from Glover what he actually was thinking when he put the video together. That we have not heard yet.
Yeah, well, it's a good question.
That is The National for May 8th. Thanks for watching. Good night.
Good night.